Morning, Laura.
Morning, Frank.
Oh, I heard you saved the Peterson account.
I hope so.
Laura, you're always so modest. What do you know about Graham Finlay?
I told you that I grew up in Sapphire Cove. His grandson, Chip, was my best friend. We lost touch, though.
That explains why there's a billionaire in my office.
Laura Price, my goodness.
Apparently, Graham's been trying to get Chip to be the CEO of his billion-dollar business for years.
It's not a good time right now.
You will get the whole Finley account. This is the big leagues now, honey.
Fly over, find Chip, get the contract signed.
Ask for Chip.
You'll be back in a few days.
Jim, you came back?
Laura Price?
Surprise!
Look at you, Miss Big City Lawyer. Do you love it?
Yeah, I do. What about you?
My charity work keeps me here.
You're a good man.
I cannot be a corporate big shot.
It's a life-changing opportunity.
Exactly.
I think you'll find the new Chip and the old Chip have a lot in common.
You've been here less than 24 hours and all you've done is send emails. I'll read that contract the minute you remember how to have fun.
Is that a deal?
I will read one page for every fun thing that you do. I read, you relax. That's the deal.
You're going above and beyond to keep a certain someone interested.
Oh, reel it in, let's go.
I've missed this island.
I missed you.
Laura!
Owen?
Laura wants you to marry me. Here. Now.
Wow. Do you want to talk about what just happened?
She's alive.
Sorry, I've been distracted.
Work isn't everything. Do what feels right. Here.
You must really think anything is possible.
Life can change. Just like that. Kind of feel like I'm home again.
Comfy Pants Couch Time is all set for the weekend ahead. This Little Love of Mine is the perfect film to snuggle up to on the cold winter's day here in Australia or wherever you are around the world via the Netflix platform. It's the first film from director Christine Luby, and she's here to tell us how she did it. Welcome to Screen Watching, Christine.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
As I mentioned, Netflix has launched This Little Love of Mine into 190 countries. After more than a decade in the biz, you're finally having your overnight success moment. How did this project become your feature directing debut?
Yeah, great question. So it was almost exactly 1 year ago that we started shooting This Little Love of Mine right in the middle of the pandemic. And I think I have to kind of credit the situation at the time for me getting my opportunity because, I hadn't directed before. I hadn't even done a short. And the Steve Jaggi company, who's the production company that made the film, were in a position that they couldn't import other directors from other states. And so I'd worked with them for many, many years, primarily as a first assistant director. And I started kind of putting my hand up and saying, this is kind of something I'd like to do. And an opportunity arose during the pandemic and I jumped at it. And a few weeks later, we were up to far north Queensland.
So, tropical resort shoot, good. Global pandemic, bad. Give us a little insight into a COVID-compliant film set.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we were the first film to begin principal photography during the pandemic. So we were working very closely with Queensland Health, lots of COVID safe documents going around, but there wasn't really a precedent. I mean, now so many productions have managed to continue filming and invent new ways, but we were kind of fresh out of the gate. So we had to figure it out really carefully. So we were lucky in that the film takes place at a resort. So we created our own little COVID safe bubble by staying at the same resort that more than half the film was shot at. So straight away we had our little bubble. Everyone got tested as soon as they got off the airplane and then isolated till they got their results. And then we had our little bubble. So it wasn't too bad, actually.
It would have been very nice. Yes, it's a beautiful part of the world. The romance in paradise genre, the friends falling in love genre, you've tapped into a fairly rich cinematic vein there, bringing the story of Laura and Chip to Netflix. Do you have any film favourites that influenced This Little Love of Mine?
Look, not really in the rom-com genre, although I do love rom-coms. I'm more inspired by shows like Marvelous Mrs. Maisel and Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. I'm an ex-dancer, and so what really kind of gets me going is interesting camera movement and oneers where you don't cut the camera and a whole scene plays out in one shot, and just that sort of marriage of camera movement and blocking, and that's the stuff that really, really excites me. So I did use some of those influences in the film.
Nice. Nice. In the romance genre, I guess half the work is done if you get the casting chemistry right. And Saskia and Liam, they're terrific together. Did they spark from day one, or was there a long rehearsal period to make it look like they liked each other?
Sure. So I lucked out. 3 of the cast members knew each other from LA. They'd all gone to the same gym and had known each other for a number of years. So Liam, Saskia, and Lynn Gilmartin, who plays Jem, all knew each other. So, the best friend relationship already there. The romance between the 2 leads already there. So I just got really lucky, actually, because I think I had 4 hours of rehearsal total.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Obviously the location helps. It's such a beautiful looking film. And that's not lost at all on the small screen. It comes through just wonderfully. I'm interested because we don't really do that old-fashioned battle of the sexes romantic drama anymore. And This Little Love of Mine, it features very contemporary lead characters, but there's also some traditional gender role playing in there as well. Was finding that balance between old-fashioned romance and what 2021 society expects a particular challenge? Were you conscious of that?
Yeah, look, I was. We like to call it a contemporary rom-com, but at the same time, it does have some of those classic rom-com beats in. And because it was my first film, I was quite keen to kind of stay with those classic rom-com beats and hit them, the near kiss and the kiss at the end. And so I was quite happy to follow that formula, but I like to think that we put our own little spin on it. And I think it's about making a film that's going to appeal from age 8 to 80, which does somewhat restrict the sort of content that you can put in there. So we wanted to make a G-rated film. So I'd say that kind of colored it more than anything else.
Yeah. You've lived the kind of 2020 the rest of us only dreamt of, shooting 3 episodes of the hit series Dive Club and This Little Love of Mine in sunny Queensland. If they next offer you a love story shooting in Alaska in winter, is it a yes or a no?
Funny you should ask. Yes, I'm actually in pre-production and I start shooting on Monday on another feature film that is another rom-com.
Oh, lovely. In Queensland, obviously.
In Queensland, yeah.
That's wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
You're not gonna tie yourself to tropical climes the rest of your career, are you?
No, I don't think so. Although I do love far north Queensland. What an extraordinary place on earth.
Yeah, and obviously with the Screen Queensland got behind you, and Steve at the Steve Jaggy company, he's a smart operator. So he's in putting together this production, he's found a formula that has served the industry well and talent such as yourself well.
Absolutely. And the company has a long history of supporting first-time female directors. And I worked on so many of the shows where I was first ADing for a first-time director. And it's just beautiful. It's a great training ground. And to be able to come up the ranks and have that career progression through the company is pretty cool.
I interviewed a couple of the actresses from Dive Club. They didn't want to say too much about a season 2. Can you offer any insight?
Unfortunately, I can't. No.
Oh, no.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
All the very best. If you've got Netflix, you've got This Little Love of Mine. Christine Luby, congratulations on such a lovely film, and thanks for joining us on Screen Watching.
Thank you so much.